What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another video where we're going to review Spiritforged released cards. This video is on the Mind card, so we're going to be starting off here with Aspiring Engineer. If you haven't seen these videos before, what we're doing is going through each of the cards that have been spoiled / released and giving them a rating A, B, or C. A cards are reserved for the powerhouses of the format, the staples in the meta, and you know, the all around just we'll see them everywhere type cards. The B rating is for cards that are going to be fillers. You'll see them in some decks, but they're just kind of filling up a place and not main staples of the format. And C are the unplayable garbage. So welcome, and please enjoy the zero editing, one cut, no background music features of this video. Alrighty, let's get into it. We've got Aspiring Engineer is up first. 3 energy, 1 power. When you play me, return a gear from your trash to your hand. My initial impressions of this card is that it's got a cool mechanic. These kind of return stuff from your trash to your hand. Long term going to be better than what they're at now with only the kind of 2 sets released. There's going to be more targets, more options for them as more cards come into the card pool. But as it stands right now, there's not really much that you want to be doing, messing around with you know, three energy and a power, particularly on turn 2 or whatever when you want to play this. It's kind of like a late game card. Looks like it might fit in the blue / purple type archetypes or mind chaos, because the chaos has lots of kind of discard synergies and stuff where you can fill your trash. So I don't think we're going to see much play of this. It's not a bad card, it's just not what we want to be doing early on in the format, so I'm going to give this a B-, and it's got the potential upside to go to B+, A- in a couple of sets, I think. Next up, we got Bubblebot, 3 energy for a 3 might unit, already on rate, so 3 for 3 is pretty good. And when you play me, ready another friendly mech. Gonna see playing the mech decks for sure. It's kind of like a blue first mate, and it's quite powerful with the rumble cards that can kind of get stuff back from your trash and then ready units and bring them back off battlefields and so on. So this card's just solid. It's nothing great, but it's we're definitely going to see it. I'm going to give it a B+ because we're going to see it, but it's only really applicable for the mech decks at the moment. So it's kind of limited in its application. Next up, we've got Chemtech Cask, 1 energy for a gear. When you play a spell on an opponent's turn, you can exhaust it to play a gold gear token. I typically like these kind of cards. They call for synergistic builds where you can use them with something like Blue Victor and just be reacting to everything the opponent does on their turn. And every time you do that, you get a token. You get a recruit token. You get a gold gear token. You get sort of value off it incrementally, and over the course of a game, it builds up to be too much for the opponent. As it stands right now, though, Blue Victor is kind of not really playable. There might be a way to break it in this format, but as of now, I don't see it. Even if this card was something like 1 for a spell that gives you 3 gold, I think that's kind of about where the value sits for this. But because it takes you kind of 3 turns to get to that level of return, yeah, it's a bit too slow in my opinion for format starting out. Usually when the new formats come out, they favor more aggressive styles as well, so this is going to be too slow in the early days, but might become better later on. I'm going to give it a B-. Not a bad card, but not going to see too much play, I don't think. Next up, we've got Cloth Armor, 1 energy for quick draw equip, shield 2. This is actually really strong. The quick draw aspect of it is what makes it strong. So 1 for a 2 might on defense is a good rate, but being used as a combat trick to play it on defense, holding 1 up for 2 is just massive, and it sticks around if you want to reuse it, and plays into the Ornn synergies with +1 from Ornn, and so on and so forth. So good card, good staple. I'm going to give this a B+. Again, nothing special so far that's come out, but a lot of these, they're all kind of playable. Cloth Armor is the pick so far out of the 4, and then probably Bubblebot as second. Next card, we got Forecaster. 2 energy, 2 might, max have vision. This is kind of like a smaller version of the Gemcraft Seer that we saw from set 1, specifically for the mech decks. The fact that it comes down on turn 1 is a little bit better because it then gives you more value from turns 2 and turns 3, whereas Gemcraft Seer, if you're playing it on turn 2 going first, you miss out on the turn 1 drops vision. So in the mech decks, this will be played in some, I think. I don't think it's going to be played in all of it, depending on how you build it. But we will see some Forecaster. B, again, doesn't jump out to me as a great card, but solid, just on rate with an ability. Frigid Touch. 2 energy for a -2. Give a unit -2. It's got repeat, and it's reaction time spell. The home for this seems to be Ezreal. Ezreal has the reduction in repeat effect costs, as well as the battlefield that can do the same. Synergizes with stuff like Bellows Breath and Arcane Shift and Fizz and those types of cards. So getting a lot of value out of Frigid Touch. So as a Fizz target as well, it's really good because you can target it because its cost is less than 3, but you can also pay repeat for it when it's on the chain. So, well, not on the chain, before you place it on the chain, you can opt to pay the additional fees like Accelerate and give something -4. So pretty strong card. Not a outright removal on its own, but I think the Chaos and Calm colors in Ezreal give it the tools that it needs to be a stronger card. I'm going to give this a B+. Next up, we got Frostcoat Cub. 3 for a 3 on rate. You can pay a mind for an additional effect, which is give something -2 till the end of the turn. I think this is a better version of the Blast Cone Fey type effect. 3 for 3 on turn 2 or turn 1 going second is a good rate for just a body if you need it, and the -2 effect being optional is powerful because you can kind of choose it for the situation. Note that the Ezreal Legend, the Ezreal Champion unit can reduce this to nothing, so you can get the free version of the ability when you're playing the purple Ezreal out of the champ zone or on board. Kind of a niche type card. I don't think the effect's overly powerful for any other deck except Ezreal, so I'm going to give this a B-. It's a filler card for that specific deck, but it does its role well if you choose to include it. Next up, we got Gearhead. 5 energy for a 3 might. That initial rate is really bad, so the effect must be huge. Accelerate, and each equipment gives me double its base might bonus. I don't think blue is where you want to be playing too many equips. I mean, the mech decks might play a couple, but it's not a kind of gear heavy archetype. And because of that, like, let's write off the Accelerate for a second, give that half a point of energy for the Accelerate. To get value out of this, like even with like something like a longsword, goes from 3 to 5 to a 7. It's quite good, but it's a 2-card investment, and you're paying 5 plus 2 for the longsword and a power, which is kind of about right. So you need to really equip this with multiple things to kind of get the return on investment, and it's not some game that I want to play because you know, if you top deck this later in a game and you're running low on resources, it doesn't do much by itself. It's not a powerful card by itself. You need to have lots of gear on the board and so on. So I'm going to give this a B-, even a C+. It's almost borderline unplayable in my view, but we'll see where we go. I think This is another card that kind of goes up as more equipment and stuff is printed. Could become a staple in some gear-heavy President style blue red, or something else. I don't know, but not for me. Not for me starting out. Let's go Plundering Poro. 2 for a 2 when I conquer player gold gear. What do we think of this? On rate, 2 for 2. It's not bad. Any abilities and upside. I'm getting a gold gear token. Is good, but it's not that good. This will just depend on what else you can put in that slot for the archetype, and if there's nothing else that's better, we'll be plugging this in, but it's not something I'm super excited about. We'll definitely see it in a few decks as a placeholder, but again, kind of B level. There are some synergies with stuff like Ornn, where you want to be getting as many gold tokens as you can so that your blue Ornn out of the champ zone is bigger. But outside of that, kind of corner case. All right, Wages of Pain. This is something that I'm super excited about. Blue hasn't had access to removal, damage-based removal yet, I don't think. So 3 for 3 damage is already on rate. It's an action. The hidden aspect of it isn't super applicable, but it can be now and then. Player gold gear token exhausted is all upside. So this is definitely going to see some play. In the Ezreal decks, it is a target for Fizz out of the trash. Get a free gold and shoot something for 3. And then if you like Arcane Shift Ez, it's 6 damage. 3 from the Arcane Shift, 3 from the Wages. So there's a lot of synergy type things going on here with Wages of Pain. And yeah, combine that with Bellows, which is now the other damage spell that comes out of blue. You've got enough stuff to finish off all of your might reduced things from the Frost Touch and the Cubs and things like that. So this one's going to see play, a lot of play, I think. I'm going to give this an A-. It's something that I'm excited about for blue, but it's not overly strong. We're just going to see a lot of it, I think. Next up, Breakneck Mech. We're talking 8 and 2 power for a 7 might, already massively under rate. What have we got that can pay for that? Deflecting, ganking, and ready if you control another mech. It's yet to be seen how much deflect is going to impact this new meta with the set 2. My initial impressions is that it's not that much, but the ganking part of it is huge. The way the playstyle plays out with the Rumble decks, or not Rumble decks, the mech decks which have Rumble in them, is you'll be able to kind of stack and hold one side pretty easily, and the ganking from this is a finisher, especially if it enters ready and you can go in with the Breakneck Mech and something from your other battlefield to close out the remaining battlefield. It's kind of cool effect, but I'm not sure that it's there for the rate. It could just be your top end if there's no other top end in that archetype. But my initial impressions are that it's overcosted for what you get, and so I'm going to give it a B. Solid unit. It's got utility. It's a decent closer, but it's not a great closer. Next up, Drop Border. 4 for 4 on rate. When you play me, if you control 2 gear, ready me. I think for most decks that play this, you're going to have 2 or more gear. So I would say 85-90% of the time you're going to be playing this in a ready state, which means it's a 4 for 4. I enter ready, which is quite good. I'm going to give this a B+. It's kind of a little bit of a build around. It's not going to be in every deck. There'll only be some that play this, but when it does, it's going to be really strong. So let's give this one a B+. Experimental Hexplate. 1 for a +1 quip. The fact that it's not quick draw means that you're going to have to pay the attached cost, and 1 and a power for a +1 might is not a good deal. And I don't think the I Am Mech is going to influence that in the near term. There's not that many things that benefit mechs apart from the legend, which gives shield, and the assault and deflect stuff that we just looked at, and the ganking thing which we just looked at, which is kind of means that you're going to have to play non-mech units in your deck, equip this to get the benefits. It's a lot of work, and just no, it doesn't do it for me. So until they print some other units that get more mech benefits that you want to equip this to, it's a no-go for me. I'm going to put this in the garbage pile. So this is a C. Got Pickpocket up next, 3 for a 3. When you play me, kill a gear with an energy cost no more than 1. If you do, play a gold gear token exhausted. So the targets for this thing are like Doran Shield, the Hexplate that we just looked at, things like the Serrated Dirk, and there's probably a couple of other ones that are getting around. It's because it's on rate, there's only upside with this if you know that the opponents are playing those 1 cost equipments. I'd be looking at siding this in against something like Azir, or potentially even some Ornn or Lucian builds. It doesn't hit sword, it doesn't hit Edge of Night, it doesn't hit boots. There's a lot of things that it doesn't hit. So you really want to be careful about what decks you want to play this against. Probably be a sideboard card for me, but when it's good, it's really good. So being able to play this, kill one of, let's say we're playing against Azir, and Azir goes turn 1, 1-drop gear and a unit, a Sand Soldier, and then you play this, kill their gear, get a gold token, and you're already matching up against their Sand Soldier pretty well. Like that's a huge swing against those types of decks. So yeah, sideboard card, strong when it's strong, but not when it's not. So it's kind of niche. I'm going to give it a B, and you'll see some of it in some decks, I think. Next up, Prize of Progress. Rate looks bad from the get-go. 4 plus a power for a 3 might. When you use an activated ability of a gear, give me +1 this turn. This screams to me combo piece. So we're looking for stuff that we can activate and reactivate over and over again to make this thing massive, and then clear out one side of the board, or even both sides if we've got bubble bots and other things to ready it. But I can't see the other pieces of the puzzle in the meta at the moment, or at least in the card pool. We've got things like Seals, which it works on. You know, you can play Heimerdinger, you can play all of the equip cards and things can trigger this as well, the gear. But doing that over and over again, maybe you only need 1 or 2 turns out of this to get the value back from it. But we're paying an extra energy and an extra power, which means we need to trigger this like 2 or 3 times to actually get that value, and it's not a lasting thing either. It falls off end of turn, and you got to do it again next turn. So someone might be able to make it work. Let me know in the comments if you can. Initially, it looks like it's too much work to get this thing big enough, so I'm going to give it a B-. Next up, we've got Production Surge. 4 and a power for a spell that costs 2 less if you control a mech. Play a 3 might mech token unit to your base, draw 1. Alright, let's assume that we've got a mech deck. It's going to cost 2 and a power for a 3 might. The 2 and a power for a 3 might plus draw 1 is pretty much bang on rate. We're playing 3 plus if the power is equivalent to 2, it's like a 4 for a 3 might plus a draw 1. You might get half a point of value there out of playing this in a mech deck, but it doesn't scream like crazy good value to me. The fact that it can, it can be defied, but that's only a minor consideration. It's a solid card at rate, it seems, in a mech deck, whether or not you play it or it sees play. Depends on what else is in that slot, and I think there's a few other contenders in that slot if you're playing it on turn 2 or turn 3. So let's give this a B minus. See some play, not overly strong. Rocket Barrage. All right, so now blue. This is like one of blue's only gear removal spells. 4 and a power for a choose 1, 4 to a unit in base or kill a gear, and it's got repeat. In terms of damaging a unit in base for 4, it's below rate, but the flexibility of killing a gear for the same price is it's okay. Previously, like Teemo decks and stuff, the way they killed gears was it targeted gear removal. I know that there's the acceptable losses card and so on out already, but targeted gear removal, if you wanted to remove like an Aurora or something like that through seals, through treasure box shenanigans where there's other gear in base. Targeted gear removal was addressed using memories, the purple card, and this one's like slightly more flexible. And then plus you've got repeat, which synergizes with things like Ez and the battlefield that reduces repeat costs. So it's got potential, this card. It still seems a little bit overcosted for the effect. When I want to remove a gear, I don't typically want to be paying 4 plus a power to do so. Something in the order of like salvage type costs, like 2 and a power or something like that would be more my taste. But you've got to use what you've got, right? So this is all that blue has at the moment, and I think it'll see some play because of that. It's not something that I'm excited to play though, so B minus for Rocket Barrage. Next up, Temporal Portal, 3 for a gear that gives spell, like the next spell you play, repeat. This card's interesting. It screams to me again combo piece. You know, it doesn't repeat the spell, it just gives it repeat, which means you still have to pay for it. There's not that many spells that you want to be repeating at the moment. You know, like even if you were to repeat something like Singularity, you still need to be spending 12 energy and recycling 5 runes to do that. It's massive. It's kind of like a card advantage card. You get card advantage by playing stuff twice. It'll probably be more suited to the kind of mid to smaller end of spells. Repeating something like that cash money, what do we call it? Wages of Pain up here is probably a good spot to be, especially if it gives you gold. But outside of that, I'm not sure what else we'll be using with Temporal Portal. Again, this is a card that can kind of only go up in value as future sets come out, and there's more targets and more things we can use this with. At the moment, I don't think it'll see play though, so let's give it a B minus again. I'm just B minusing everything here that I don't think is particularly interesting. But 4 and a power for a 4. When you play, you may exhaust your legend as an additional cost, and if you do, you can move any number of units to an open battlefield. The fact that it has to be open is a narrow limitation on this, and if there is no open battlefields for you to kind of stack on, it screams to me like a stack card when you're trying to hold for the win. It's still, if that option's not open, it's a 4 power, 4 might, 4 energy and a power for 4 might, which is underrate, which puts you kind of in a bad spot having to play that without without any open battlefields to move stuff to. So because of that downside, I think it's a little bit narrower than being able to just play a 4 body, which I'm not particularly happy about. I don't think this is going to be playable in the near term, so this one gets a C. Bellow's Breath, 1 energy, 1 power, 3 instances of 1 damage to units at the same location. you can only use it on a unit once. So the cool thing about this is that, again, it's another one of those blue spells that deal damage, which we haven't seen before. So this, coupled with the rocket and the cash money, Wages of Pain, now allow blue to kind of interact on a damage front. The ability to hit base is massive with this, being able to go 2 and 2 to deal 2 damage to 3 things in your base can kind of wipe the back line for some of the smaller aggressive decks. And it's got synergy with Ezreal Legend, right? Being able to ping 2 things and draw a card as well. So this is definitely going to see play. I think initial impressions for a lot of people is that this isn't a great card, but the reach that it gives you and the ability to trigger your Ezreal and combine it with things like Cub and Frigid Touch and other minus might effects. You can kill massive units with this if you combo it up with the right pieces. So it's also going to see play in those Victor and Lux Imperial, I think it's Imperial Decree, the one that when things get damaged, they die this turn. Yeah, and you can wipe back lines and battlefields using repeat on this, combining it with the Imperial Decree. So going to see play. In my opinion, this is a really good card. I'm going to give it a A-. It's an A tier card for sure. And it's just a bit of a sleeper at the moment. Next up, Card Sharp, 3 for a 3. When you play me, you and your opponent may get a gold token. If your opponent does, you get an extra one. 3 for a 3 might's on rate already. It gives you a gold token guaranteed, and I don't like the option of giving your opponent a gold token because they will choose the option that is better for them. If they take it, they're going to benefit from it, and if they choose to decline it, they can also deny you the second gold. So anything that gives your opponent a choice, I'm not particularly a fan of, but 3 for a 3 plus a gold minimum is a good deal. This will probably see play in things like Ornn, where Ornn gets larger off your gold tokens, and so if your opponent accepts and takes the gold, you're essentially getting 5 might worth of stats on between this and your blue Ornn for 3, which is an awesome rate. So it's got good upside. I'm going to give this an A-. We're going to see this around. Nothing particularly special, but just on raw stats alone, it's pretty good. Ezreal, blue Ezreal, 4 and a power for a 3 might. When I attack or defend, deal damage to my might to an enemy unit here, and it doesn't deal combat damage. So it's like a little pinging thing that can jump in and out of combat with this action, move me to your base. You want to set up turns where you would do something like Frigid Touch a unit, move in, ping it for 3. If you're still going to win or lose the combat, you can move it back to your base and repeat next turn and the turn after. So it's cool because you don't have to commit it to a full combat right to the end. So they could have like 10 units on that battlefield, and you can Frigid Touch 1, move in to finish it off, and then move back to your base and be dashing in and out. Very on flavor for Ezreal. The question is going to be, is this the unit to play in Ezreal over the purple one? And the purple one is quite strong as well. I think it actually pips this at the post in terms of power level. So while I like the flavor of this and the style of it, I think the other Ezreal is going to fill the CZ slot for the most part, and so we're not going to see too much of this Ezreal around. So because of that reason, I'm going to give it a B+. And we're on to Hextech Anomaly. 3 energy and a power for a gear. It has the ability to turn your power into energy, and it's the opposite of the orange one, the body one, that turns your energy into power. Now this one is, I'm going to be frank here, not the preferred one, because power is worth more than energy in my recent like trade-off calculations. You kind of one energy is worth 1 how do I say this? 1.5 energy is worth 1 power, that kind of ratio, and it could even go up to 2. 2 energy is worth 1 power in early turns. So because of that, you're trading a higher value resource for a lower value resource, which means the other one in body is probably preferred over this, where you can trade up. But in addition to that, being able to trade that, you can do it once per turn for as much as you want, pretty much, at reaction speed, but it costs you a card to play this on the board. So to even just have that ability to trade down resources, it costs 3 and a power. So this is sitting in the trash pile for me. I think this goes straight into the bin at a C-. Some people will hate me for that rating, but that's what I think at the moment. I will say that looking at other card games, effects like this can pop up in different combo decks. So if some other pieces of the puzzle come out that, you know, duplicate effects of your gear, or you know, double the effect of energy or power added to your resource pool in this turn, or, you know, there's a whole host of other things that can come out that may make this abusable. Till that happens, this is a steaming pile, and we'll just wait for the new cards to make this playable. Jace, Man of Progress, 4 for a 4 on rate, and its ability is you can kill a friendly gear, and if you do, you can play an energy. You can play another gear with energy cost no more than 7 from your hand. The main design of this is quite cool. Again, this is another card that gets upside as more and more cards are printed, because there's going to be more and more gear with energy cost around 7 that you can use to abuse this by sacking a seal and cheating out stuff into earlier turns. The main target for this at the moment is the yellow gear that produces little recruit tokens every turn. But you're going to have both of those cards and a seal or something else to sack in order to play that. And so it's a little bit more work than it needs to be at the moment. But just because of its rate of 4 for a 4, with that upside, I'm just going to... It can't be anything lower than a B, I don't think, because of the base rate there. Ornn, blue Ornn, staple of the Ornn decks. 6 energy for a 4 might, so we're looking to get a couple of energy worth of value out of the ability text. Deflect 2 is huge, especially against control type decks like Ez and stuff, where they want to target it with multiple things. This adds up really, really quickly. Weapon Master is also fitting into the Ornn theme. Being able to kind of play equipment on turn 1 or turn 2 with your Ornn Legend, and then slam this on turn 3. Weapon mastering stuff to make it a bit more resilient in the back line is awesome. And then having 1 for each friendly gear is the punchline of this card. So this can get out of control pretty quickly. It's not a rare occurrence to see 14, 16, 20 might Ornns floating around, and they're a pain to deal with because of the Deflect 2. So either Voltron President strategy type Ornn is going to be viable, or some sort of mid-range value Ornn with just good quality units like this one, and a bunch of really good quality equipment like Sterax and Guardian Angel and so on. I'm going to give this a A-. I don't think I've seen many Ornns just floating around with 4. You're always going to have like 6 or 8 kind of might, and because that's just really good value for the investment. Next up, World Atlas, 3 for a +2. When I hold, get 2 gear tokens exhausted, 2 gold gear tokens exhausted, sorry. 3's a little bit expensive for this, I think, for 2 might that doesn't have quick draw. You're paying 5 energy equivalent to get +2, and then its return is going to take 2 holds before it kind of pays itself off, which is nowhere near guaranteed. there's not much I can say about that. It's just it's too difficult to get the return in my view. So unless you're playing some sort of president strategy like Ornn, in which case the gold can start to stack up and feed back loop how huge Ornn is, which makes it more difficult to kind of reconquer that battlefield, and you can keep holding it, so on and so forth. So let's leave this at a B minus. It might see some play in Ornn, but I don't think it'll see play in anything else. Premonition 2 and 3 for a draw 3. Reaction, this is kind of like a control-ish type spell that you want to be playing, you know, towards the end of your opponent's turn, of one of the last things that they do, just reacting to it and drawing 3. The triple power cost is huge. It makes it too expensive, unless we can abuse like gold tokens and stuff like that, or if there's something else like the cask that can create gold tokens. You know, when you play something on your opponent's turn, you play this at the end of their turn, you kind of negate one of those power costs with the gold token that you get off the cask. So the fact that it's 2 means that you can target it using things like Fizz. You still have to pay the power cost, but and it also allows you to kind of sneak it out with leaving 2 up at the end of their turn. Oh, sorry, at the end of your turn, just passing with 2 up. You can get it out as an end of turn play. So effects like this, I think, are going to be more powerful in the future. I recommend stocking up on a couple of these because the price of them will go up as the new sets come out. But as it stands right now, between this and Future Sight and other things, the card draw is just not super valuable because it's a very aggressive and tempo driven format. So I'll leave this as a B minus for now. Actually, it's almost unplayable. I think it's probably, if I'm honest, it's probably a C plus. But I think as the card pool gets bigger, this can definitely potentially move up to B plus or even A minus tier level card. So this is a specky investment for those that want to gamble on potential future values for cards. This is one that I've got my eye on. Renata, 5 energy for a 4 might. It's got some unique effects that don't appear yet. So paying 1 and a power for draw 1, or paying 4 and 4 power for and exhaust it to score a point. Use my abilities only while I'm on a battlefield. The uniqueness of this card means that it's got to be good at on some level. Even just a 5 for a 4 might isn't bad. It's not what you want to be doing, but it isn't bad. I don't rate the draw 1 part of this. You don't have to exhaust it, so you can potentially, you know, tap all 10 runes you've got and exhaust them and draw 10, which might be cool in some sort of future combo decks. But drawing cards at the moment, that rate, 1.5 energy, or which is equivalent to 1 power, is kind of the rate for a draw card. So a little bit overcosted there to do that. The scoring a point is the thing that makes this strong, because you can use it to kind of claw back into the game if you're playing a control type style and you want to let them have a couple of early points, remove their units, and then try and get back in it quickly. This isn't a bad idea. There's also some synergies with things like Heimerdinger, where you can have Heimerdinger in base and Renata in base, not exposed to enemy removal, or most of the enemy removal, opponent's removal. And you can still use Heimerdinger to score a point every turn, because Heimerdinger just takes this ability here in the middle and not the use abilities while I'm at a battlefield line. So you can still use Heimerdinger in base, even though Renata can't be used in base. Anyway, I think it's not very playable as it stands. I'm going to give it a B minus, even a C plus, but it has upside, lots of upside, and it might be a combo piece in the future. I think it's got the building blocks for that. Right, next up, we've got Rumble. Rumble and his alt art, we're looking at 5 energy and a might. 5 energy and 1 power for a 4 might. Your mechs have +1 including itself, so it's really a 5 and a power for 5 might. And when it holds, you can play a 3 might mech token to your base. So you're paying 1 power for the ability, essentially, that when it holds, you play a 3 might mech token. I think that's quite powerful, especially in a set where there's things like cloth armor. You don't really want to be running it into a battlefield exposed. You kind of want to play it to base on turn 3-ish, and the following turn move it into a battlefield and hold up stuff to protect it, to make sure you get that hold trigger. Without the hold triggers, it's okay giving your other mechs +1, but it really pays for itself when you get at least 1 hold trigger. So I'm going to give this a B+. Definitely going to see some play in some mech decks, I think. The only thing I'd say on that, though, is it's at a point where there are other mechs and other, like the Red Rumble and a couple of other mech cards, like the 6 might one and stuff, that are kind of competing for the same slots. And whether or not this wins out or not will remain to be seen. But in isolation, it's a good card. And I'll give it a B+, I think. All right, last card of the Mind colors is the 0 drive, 3 energy equipment that is a +2 on equip. The equip cost's a little bit more expensive. It's 1 and a power instead of just a power like the other ones. And basically how it works is you attach it to a unit. When it dies, the unit gets banished. The equipment falls off and you attach it to another one. And then for every unit that dies with this on it that gets banished, you also have the ability to banish this, play all units banished with this, ignoring their cost. Use only if unattached. So you can get everything back pretty much. This is an interesting card, and it's powerful when you look at what it can do. Essentially, you're paying the cost for one energy and 1 power to kind of pseudo save each unit and build them up, and then dump them back on a future turn. So you can kind of trade out, like re-equip this, trade out with some more stuff, re-equip this, trade out, and then at some point when you want to turn the game, you banish this and get all those back, and you've got a big might swing. There's a couple of things that make this bad. One is that it costs 4 or 3 and a power and banish it to get everything back, which means that you can't really do anything else on the other turn, or well, you're limited in what you can do on that turn when you get everything back. The other thing is that you can only do this when it's unattached. So let's say you've banished 2 units before, and this is on its 3rd unit, and you're sending it in to kind of die so you can use it. The opponent can kind of play around that, right? And bring their own guy back to base, or fight or flight your guy or something to keep this alive, so that you can't detach it in order to use the ability. And I think that's one of the biggest limitations of this card. Unless there's a easy way to kind of detach it so that you can use it, you're at the mercy of your opponent after the first one gets banished. So even if you get 1 trigger off this, like let's say you play a huge 10 might unit, something massive, and then equip this and it gets banished and you want to use the ability to get it back, it's still going to cost you 3 + 3, 6 and a power, and sack this card to get that big unit back. And in the Ornn types, you know, we're already playing Zhonya's and Guardian Angel, which do the same sort of thing for 2 instead of 6 and a power. So you really need to get multiple triggers, and then when you get multiple triggers of this and multiple units banished, the opponent can play around it somewhat. That makes this pretty rubbish card. So this is going into a C tier for me until there's some better way to abuse it. Alright, that's my thoughts on the initial impressions for the Mind cards. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments, and catch you in the next one.